In this video, we're going to be reviewing our credit scores before and after making one of the largest payments on our debt in our lifetime so far. Hey Wealth Builders! My name is Meshack.
And I'm Akeiva.
And welcome back to another episode of The Bemused. On this channel, we talk about all things personal finance for young adults just like you and us.
So if you're into that kind of thing, go on ahead and hit that big red subscribe button and join the fam. So for context, back in April, so we're a couple months removed at this point, we made a really huge student loan payment. Well, technically two payments. But, you know, basically we paid off $60,000 worth of student loan debt in one fell swoop. And so we were really interested to know how that was going to affect our credit scores. Meshack and I have had pretty good credit, if we do say so ourselves, pretty much since we started building credit back as 18-year-olds. However, it's a long time ago now. But we've basically had really great credit scores since then and have maintained really great credit as well. So we were a little bit concerned because we were just like, okay, we make these huge debt payments. Technically, the $60,000 broke down. It was about $21,000 of my debt, and the rest was on his debt. So definitely much more of a dent on his, about 40-20 split of that 60. So we were watching our credit scores for the past couple of months just so we can show you guys exactly how this affected our credit scores. Of course, the effect that it had on our scores isn't necessarily going to be the effect it has on yours, but it was just a little bit of a social experiment. So let's see what paying off all this daggone debt did to our credit scores. Did it mash it up? Did it increase? What did it do? The answer might surprise you.
All right, so you should be seeing my scores on the screen somewhere at this time. But as you can see, I use an app that gives all of them just up front and center for you. So that makes it nice for the purposes of this video. And it's pulling in 3 scores. Some of them are probably being pulled from the same type of report. And Discover, I know, is definitely just different from the Chase and Capital One scores.
Yeah, Chase and Capital One do Vantage Score 3.0 models, and Discover actually pulls your FICO Score 8. So that's why you see that those two are the same, and then Discover's different.
So from what you can see, my score with Chase and Capital One,
this is the before
was 773. So, you know, pretty good. I think that on like all scales, that's like a pretty good score. You know, it was like, all right, what's going to happen after we make this payment? And then with Discover at 781. So even better. But again, different score type, different metrics that are being used to calculate that score. So that's why that one looks so much higher, or is higher, because it's different metrics. And I was feeling myself with this one. I was like, you know, hey, this is going to be great for me, because what's going to happen is, although my student loan debt, you know, one of them, I think 2 of them were being paid off. 2 of my grad loans.
Yes.
Two accounts were being paid off. You know, hey, this is going to have a big impact, and it's going to impact me in a really good way. Because although it is 2 large accounts, it's not my earliest accounts, if that makes sense. Because the earliest accounts that I had was an undergrad in like 2013. So these were taken out in 2018 or so, 2017, 18, when I was in grad school. So I was, you know, feeling mighty good, like, oh, this is going to be, you know, good impact. This is going to probably put me in the 800s, and I'm going to be with the elite. Unfortunately, you'll see the scores on the screen right now. That did not happen. So we had some growth.
Quite uneventful.
You know, and these scores that I snapped right now are as of June 29th of this year. So the original ones were April, and we'll put the dates on the screen as well. And this one was June. So a few months apart from each other. And you're able to see here that my scores with Chase and Capital One did increase a few points as of today. And to note, just something that I want to put out there, I actually went on like into the account with Capital One and Chase, and I actually lost 1 point today as well. So if I had screenshotted it yesterday, it would have been 1 point higher, but that's all right. And then with Discover, we also saw a slight growth there, about 2 points. So I think, you know, just about the same, you know, for all of them, I increased about 2 points or so. Like I mentioned, in between April and June, there were some spikes up there, like 1 or 2 points or something, and now it seems to have leveled out. So for me, it really didn't make much of a difference, which was a huge surprise to me. I thought that it would have had a much larger impact. It did, but I thought I would have been like 20, 30 points. It didn't happen like that for me, unfortunately.
Now, before we get into the impact on my scores, we want to share with you a really cool resource that we discovered a few months back that we have been like
in love with,
pretty much obsessed with since we learned about it, and that is Scoremaster. So what is Scoremaster and what does it have to do with this whole conversation? Scoremaster helps people become better users of their money and their credit by helping people achieve their best credit score possible.
So let's tell you guys all about Scoremaster because we truly have been in love with it since we got accounts.
So not only can you do like the super basic stuff that you expect from a credit management platform, like being able to view your credit reports, being able to view your scores, all that stuff, credit monitoring. I think all that stuff is like table stakes at this point. But we want to share with you a few things that we think really makes this platform stand out and the things that we love using the most. The first helpful feature is called Score Builder. So if there's anything that's like negative or derogatory on your credit report, Score Builder, that section of the platform, literally you can see a list of them and you can click a button that basically will send a letter to your creditors and ask them to remove that negative information from your report. Doesn't mean they're going to, but at least you've started that communication line with them and they make it super, super easy. So that is a really cool feature.
The next one is Score Boost. So this is a simulation platform within Scoremaster. So for example, if I had, let's say, $10,000 out there on various lines of credit, what this is going to allow for you to do is it's going to say, well, all right, pay off this one by this date and pay this amount, and then pay this account by this date for this amount. Of course, that'll vary depending person to person, and it is an estimate, but it was like mind-blowing for me because Akeiva and I, we've been doing this thing for a little while, as you mentioned at the beginning of the video, pretty much on our own little tips and tricks, but this just laid it all out where you didn't have to guess. It's like, okay, well, pay this one down first versus pay that one down, or versus paying them all down on the same day, which I've done and haven't really seen much improvement. So this was nice to have a roadmap as to how you can get to that score. So absolutely love that feature.
Yeah, and conversely, like if you ever have to spend money on a credit card and you're just like, ooh, which is the best credit card to use so that it doesn't have an impact on my score based on your utilization, that it'll map it out too. So it'll say, okay, well, you need to spend $5,000, like put it on this card because, it'll give you the longest runway. If you pay it off by this date, you'll have no impact to your score, or it'll try to lessen the impact on your score as much as possible. So I think it's just like a really cool feature. The third feature that I really love is Privacy Master. So I don't know if you guys have ever Googled yourselves online, like typed in your name and you found like all your personal information on these like sketchy websites where they have like your whole government and like your last known address and like the names of all your family members and pets. Like these websites just have all that information about you, which is like super gross, right? So what Privacy Master does is it scans the web for these kinds of websites, lets you know when it's found your information on the web on any of those sites, and literally with the click of a button, it will send a request to that site to remove that data. We've been using that feature for the past couple of months, and my data really actually did get removed from quite a number of these sites. Doesn't mean it won't pop up again, but at least for now, the internet should be clean of my personal data because that's disturbing.
And to show you, I guess, how interesting these sites are able to pull information together, it's interesting to me at least. Akeiva and I got married in 2020. And we started using this platform in 2022. And not only did it match us together, which I was like, that's interesting that it matched us so quickly, but it also matched my in-laws to me. It matched my sister, like everybody on that side of the family to me, which I thought was like crazy and pretty scary. So it was nice to be able to, like she said, just click a button and ask them to remove it. Because it's like, it's so scary what information gets put out there. But it was nice that Scoremaster has that nice tool where they can just say, hey, take that off. They don't want that information out there.
Yeah, protect your privacy in these streets, y'all. People don't need to be knowing all that information.
And the fourth thing that we absolutely love about Scoremaster is the protection. they offer $1 million. Yes, you heard that right. $1 million of identity theft protection. And for everything that we've spoken about before, where these sites have your information, people can buy it, that's extremely important and something that you usually have to buy outside. You know, there might be credit monitoring services where you can get some of these features, but none that we've seen that has a complete, you know, circle of protection on all of these different, you know, fronts.
And at that rate that you pay for it. And it extends not just for you, but also to your whole house and yard. Literally, it covers everybody who lives at your address, like in your household, and it covers all your bank accounts, brokerage accounts, etc., up to $1 million. And it is super easy to get in contact with them if you ever need to file a claim. Unfortunately, well, hopefully we never have to do that. But in theory, like the number's right there when I be logged into the platform, like if you need to make a claim, call this number. So yeah, Scoremaster has been clutch. So we are affiliates of Scoremaster. All that to say, the link is going to be in the description box. We actually have, I think, a pretty cool, and I don't think other influencers have this deal, truthfully. We have the opportunity to do a $1 trial of Scoremaster, and that trial is 21 days long. So it's not like 7 days, 5 days, even 14. It is 21 days long, so you can go in there, play with all of the features, get your reports, take actions, all that stuff for $1. So no harm, no foul. Go on in there, sign up, and let us know how y'all feel about it. Okay. Now on to my little saga of what happened with my credit. So as we mentioned, the $21,000 or so, whatever, that went to pay off essentially one of my student loan accounts. So we were closing an account. So what I expected to happen was that I would have a drop in my credit score and that it would bounce back to at least where it was before or higher. So let's see if I was right. All right. On April 20th, 2022, my score, this is just one, like my Vantage score, was 788, okay? So 788 is where we started on April 20th before, you know, the payment got reported or anything like that. Now we're on to May 9th. So at this point, the payment has hit because I'm seeing it, you know, when they explain sometimes in these little things, like what happened, da 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 da, it shows that like the amount dropped by the amount of the payment, right? My score dropped by 13 points. So we're down to a 775. So that was like the immediate impact. It dropped 13 points with this credit scoring model. So again, that's beginning of May. That was the damage, all right? It's so weird because everything else is like, oh, what happened? Everything's like green, but yet your score went down 13 points. These things are ridiculous. Anyway, so that's that. Now, where are we today? So as of June 7th now, so about a month after, you know, May 9th was when I saw that it dropped. June 7th, I took a look again and my score had increased to 792. So it had increased 17 points. Now, I will say that something else happened on my credit profile that would have made it increase. And that is that an inquiry that I had on my credit report dropped off in that same time frame. So I do think it would have, so it's hard to tell like what was the result of the inquiry falling off versus what was the result of the, you know, credit score just starting to bounce back. However, it did really perform the way that I thought. So like I said, it really kind of bounced back to where it was plus a little bit more. So again, it's going to be hard to tell like what was attributable to the inquiry versus what was attributable to just the credit score bouncing back. But since, you know, beginning of June, we're now at the end of June, like my score has stabilized really around this point in the high, you know, 790s. And my FICO score actually has crossed into the 800s. So that's what happened, y'all. So just to recap, I mean, we all know that paying off debt is a goal for many of you, and something we don't really think about is like, what's the impact on our credit score? Yes, in some cases, in a lot of cases, paying off debt completely, not paying down, but paying off debt does have a temporary negative impact on your credit score. But from our experience, as we've seen, it's bounced back and it's been fine. So we were able to put that theory to the test with our own finances.
Yeah, and even just a comparison between the two of us, again, to reiterate that everyone's situation is different, right? Like I think, well, no, because we probably had started our credit journey at the same time because we started undergrad in the same year, but I introduced different credit lines of credit earlier than Akeiva did because I got my credit card before she did. So it's interesting, like I would have thought that also my credit score would have been in the 800s by now. I've never hit that number, but Akeiva has. With a younger, a younger mixed credit line profile than I have. So again, just to show that, it's different, don't stress over it. As long as you have a decent score, and I would consider a decent score to be 700 or higher, just focus on practicing good credit habits, not missing payments and things like that, and you should be okay.
If you're interested in learning more about how your financial health is doing in terms of credit, in terms of debt, in terms of saving, all of the relevant things, we have a super fun quiz that we've designed just for you. The link will be down in the description box below so you can get a gauge on your financial health and take actionable steps toward improving it. Link for Scoremaster is also down in the description box below.
Comment down below if you've experienced any changes to your credit and tell us why you think that is. Thanks so much for watching. We really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell so you never miss when we post new content just like this. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.